So I just finished watching the second episode of the second season of Supergirl, and let's talk about it. So in this episode, you've got a main plotline surrounding a new secret organization that wants to stop the metahumans by making cyborg, Kryptonian, hybrid type deals. And luckily, this is a great plot device for an episode that has both Supergirl and Superman, because they're a formidable opponent for these particular superheroes. We've got several other plotlines going on. We've got a rivalry of sorts, some conflict between Martian Manhunter and Superman. We've got a little bit of jealousy between Kara, her sister, and Superman. We've got a plot line that's all about how the CW can't afford Calista Flockhart, so we have to find a reason to write her off the show. And we've got Kara starting a new job as a reporter, except she's not really starting the new job, and the tension she has with her very cliche, angry boss that does not like her. So speaking of the good, this was just a very solid second episode of a season. It sets up the ongoing storyline while providing a plot line that is resolved by the end of it, and just having a good time along the way. If you like this show, I would think that this would be a very solid episode. You won't say that this is your favorite episode, you won't say it's like the best of the season, the most memorable, but it's a very solid episode that moves the story along, that provides entertainment in it without doing anything too annoying or frustrating. Right off the bat, I love that it started off with a quick montage of Supergirl and Superman having fun as superheroes, saving people together, joyfully doing so. And as I mentioned last week, this is something absolutely missing from the Zack Snyder version of Superman, where he's just joyfully saving people. And what I liked what they did with it is they actually have them kind of reprimanded a little bit by Martian Manhunter, in that they're like just trying to do something good, and others are like, hey, you shouldn't be doing that. And they're like, oh, we're trying to save people's lives. Well, that's what we do. And I really like that, because that's true to the characters. They don't have to be brooding. Everything doesn't have to be deeply introspective. And I can kind of appreciate what Zack Snyder was going for, but Superman isn't Batman. I like that we get this version of Superman in the show Supergirl. Another thing, I really like what they're setting up here with this organization that's trying to stop the organization that Supergirl works for, and that they're basically kind of, you see conflicting ideologies there of someone viewing metahumans inherently as bad, as evil, that need to be stopped, and not people you partner with. That's setting up, generally speaking, a pretty good direction. They played a little bit cartoonish. They should have had those characters played a little bit more straight-faced, in that there's like a legitimate fear there going on, and it comes off a little bit just like this mustache twirling, oh, we are evil, we'll make our own superpowered people to stop these other superpowered people, which seems very silly and super villainy and as opposed to real drama, but I will take it. I think it's setting up will probably be a very good ongoing story arc throughout the season. Lastly, a really good thing about this episode is it doesn't focus at all on any of the goofy romantic subplots that we just don't need in the show. Like, if you have one that really works, that really makes sense, then yeah, I mean, we like to see characters and stories like that. But when it feels shoehorned in, where the whole time we're going, why are these two people dating each other? Like, why are we having a love triangle? Why do we have the jealous other? It just feels out of place. I hate that stuff. This episode doesn't have it, and there's no superfluous stuff. Like, there's a mention to it or here in there, but it's very normal passing lines that would be very commonplace if these people were still interacting with each other, as opposed to heavy-handed, forced dialogue. You don't get that, so I really appreciated that. With all that said, the episode has a lot of things you can nitpick about it. And that's really my big problem with this show, is that they make so many just stupid mistakes or quirky mistakes, goofy mistakes, that when in the comment section some people are like, oh, Superman's in it and that sounds like a good rendition I'd like to see. I don't like this show because it's so goofy. Is this episode going to convince me? No, it's not. Last week's wouldn't, and this one won't either. There's just as much of the silliness, bizarre, cheesy hokiness that if you can't get past that, it's all that stuff's in here. So I'm going to go through most of that stuff. There's not big, gigantic holes to me. There's just the quirky stuff that I wish that they would tighten up and work out better. So first off, this is kind of the obvious one, the easy thing to pick on, but the special effects really are pretty bad. In the opening sequence of this, there's like a burning building. They go to rescue it, and the shot of the burning building is a static shot of a building with flames shooting out the top of it, which is something that's a very easy effect to do in After Effects. If I wanted to actually, like, if, you know, I didn't want to get this video out as quick as I could, I would quickly put up a shot of my house with flames shooting out the top of it, just like this in this video, because they just do the special effects in such a cheap manner, because obviously they don't have the budget for it. But whenever I see a shot and I go, it's a static shot. It's just a camera frame right here, and then they matted out the building, and then just put flames behind it. There's nothing going on the front of the building. There's no damage. Like, this is basic level After Effects, or really even basic level Premiere stuff that you can do. That's where it gets distracting, and there's a little bit too much of that. And I guess that's what they have to do to be able to have enough action in it when you've got flying people with superpowers. But at certain points, it really does get distracting when it's this cheap. I mentioned this a little bit last week, but another problem is that Clark Kent looks too good looking. He looks like, well, I was about to say a catalog, as if people still read catalogs, but it looks like so many pictures I've seen in people's Pinterest feeds when they're like trying to get fashion ideas and they've got a folder on men's fashion. That's what this guy looks like. He just looks like fashion model guy on Pinterest to me. And then they have the Cat Grant like swooning over him. And the whole idea of, Clark Kent being able to disappear into a different persona when he's Clark Kent versus Superman. Superman's so confident and strong that he can actually disappear into this disguise of Clark Kent with the glasses and everything and all this quirkiness to him that's not here at all. And it's not really, it's you see it a little bit with Kara, where she actually is this goofy, wacky person as Kara, and then she's Supergirl. She's less like that. But, even like I was talking in the comment section, it was actually with my sister, about how Christopher Reeves, whether he was a big guy or not, in the comments, basically we're discussing how Christopher Reeves was actually a really big guy, and she didn't realize that because as Clark Kent, he seemed like such a small, quirky, awkward guy. But that's because Christopher Reeves was a good actor that while being 225 pounds and 6'4", like a gigantic athletic human, did not come off that way because he was acting in such a manner that came off so different when he was Superman versus Clark Kent. Here you just see model guy when he's Clark Kent. And I'm enjoying the performance. I really am. And I hope they announce in a couple of weeks that they're making a Superman show. It doesn't jive to me. It's a bad version of Clark Kent if he doesn't have any awkwardness to him. And one more thing, they don't do it too much, but there's a plot line about how kind of Kara's sister feels a little bit jealous because Clark's in town and she's spending a little bit more time with him and wants to invite him to stuff. And it came off a little bit like the simplistic relational drama that they put in all of the CW shows, where people don't actually react like that, or if they do, you treat them like a little kid. You don't treat them like an adult, because when someone's cousin comes to town, you don't get jealous. Like, what? Someone from out of town is here. Why are you spending time with them and not me all the time? People like that, you get annoyed with and don't spend time with because that's such an immature way to behave. But they play that as if that's real drama. To contrast that, there's a plot line in it about a rivalry of sorts between Martian Manhunter and Superman, whereas Martian Manhunter is holding on to some kryptonite and Superman doesn't appreciate that he was holding on to kryptonite, and Superman doesn't think that they should have anything that'd be able to help hurt him and Supergirl. Martian Manhunter knows that there's other Kryptonians. That's actually a conflicting ideologies. There's two legitimate viewpoints as to why Superman would be like, you can't be trusted with kryptonite. Look what happened. And this guy over here would be like, I need kryptonite because there's more of you that I can't trust. It's not just that I don't trust you, it's that I don't trust your kind because some of you are bad, those are two legitimate positions that each of them has a point to be made. That's not what you see in the jealousy plot line. It's like you're just looking at it going like, no. When your cousin comes to town, you hang out with your cousin all the time. You don't shun your cousin because, well, I have to hang out with this person I hang out with all the time because they're so insecure. That's weird. So anyway, I liked the episode. I don't want to just dog on the show, even though it feels like I am. I'm just trying to point out those things that I just go, just get rid of this stuff. Like, you don't have to have quirky extra drama and everything. You could just have people have a normal day where they do something fun and the drama doesn't come from trying to tear people apart all the time. Like, you don't have to do that. There's other ways to have drama in shows besides bad relational drama. So I liked it. Very strong second episode, and just slightly something just because Superman's in it is one of the more memorable episodes for me. But at the same time, it's not like a mind-blowing one. Like last week's just kind of really popped because Superman was in it. This one, it's like, oh, another one with Superman. It's really good. Probably will be one of my favorite episodes of the season, but it doesn't, try to swing for the fences or anything like that. But this was probably more focused than last week. So I don't know which one I prefer. The novelty of Superman being there has dwindled a little bit, but Still, very enjoyable episode. Thank you so much for watching. What have you thought about this 2-episode run with Superman? We talked about it a little bit. We get a little bit more of him this time. What are your continuing, ongoing thoughts? Do you think they should do a Superman show with this version of Superman? Or is that one too many CW things? What do you think? Tell me in the comment section, because I don't want to just talk about Supergirl. I want to talk about Supergirl with you. Tell me below. If you're new to my channel, never click that subscribe button, please consider clicking that subscribe button so you'll get all of my future videos on your feed. Thank you so much for watching.